like add stuff. Okay, guys, as promised, I'm live right now just to discuss some of the thought process behind Love Isn't Supposed to Hurt, Part 1, the shape shifter. And I'll give a couple people time to get in if they wanted to get in. If not, you could just catch the replay. It's not showing me in. So basically, a little back story about the state. For those who don't know, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So I thought it was really important for me to do a series basically about domestic violence, about my experience with domestic violence. And yeah, just share my story with you guys because, you know, I always want myself to be, I always want to be this honest person, be transparent, and I feel as though I went through it for a reason, to help other people, mainly to help females see the signs before it get that bad. So basically, the series is going to be a 4-part series. Basically, it's through a story of this girl who basically fell in love with the wrong person, and despite seeing so many signs, she just stayed with the person because she felt as though that it was better to have someone there, and that basically she had this misconception in her head that love was about how much you can take from a person, when ideally that isn't what love is about. Love isn't testing each other limits to see if you're still going to stay or you're still going to go, right? And we as females get this how am I going to word it? We as females, we get this mistakenly idea in the head, and it starts from like grade school, right? Because you're told like, oh, if a boy picks on you, or if a boy picks on you, then he likes you. So that's dating all the way back to like grade school age, and some females carry that misconception all the way up until adulthood, right? So if you had a chance to view the video, if you didn't have a chance, don't worry, because I will drop a link to the video in the description to this live, as well as in the comments. So it starts off with like a girl foolishly looking for love, and I thought that line, to open the series with that line, was important to me because I feel as though as a female, and I guess some males get it, like the older you get, the expectation to marry is there. Like as a female, we're automatically put into the mind frame to prepare for a husband, right? We're not really expected to want to do like stuff for ourselves. Like we want to do stuff to make us more attractive, to find a husband. That's like the goal that society puts on us. And I know females, especially around my age, being in my late 20s, but don't tell nobody, being in my late 20s, you know, a lot of females are, or even if they're married, to get married, right? So they find themselves compromising things in a relationship because they think that in society eyes, I'm nothing. I'm not married. So that's why I opened it with the line, I was just a girl foolishly looking for love. And then it goes to say that like someone she shared all these good times with, someone who she loved, someone who she thought loved her, had actually caused her so much pain, and how she didn't really know the demons that that person was fighting, which is reality, because this is why another reason why the title of my 4th book is called Beyond Closed Doors, because you never know what someone is fighting with. And it's not just to say that that person was necessarily a bad person for what they were dealing with, because everybody has experienced some type of a trauma in their life, right? Everybody has some type of events that shape the person who they are today. And some people, they haven't snapped back, or they haven't, what's the right word? They haven't actively sought out the things they needed to in order to heal from their past. So this is why I feel as though during like the initial dating stage, learning, taking time to learn about somebody's childhood is very important, because learning how someone is raised can help you shape how their thought process is, if that makes sense to anybody. I don't know. Let me know when you're catching the recap if what I'm saying is making sense. What I'm saying is making sense. So we had this girl, right, who started dating this guy who was asking her all the right questions. And this happens a lot of time in the beginning phases of a relationship. And this is something that I came to hate so much, when someone asks me, well, what type of man are you looking for? Because for me, it's like, you're asking me what type of man am I looking for? Why? For you to pretend to be him? And I feel like, and this is what the person in this story did. So basically, in the beginning phase, was asking her all these questions about her ideal man, how their relationship, the future that she wanted. And in her mind, she's like, in her mind, the female was thinking, oh, he's asking me all these right questions because he's really trying to get to know me. He's really wanting to be with me. But in the guy mind, he's asking these questions because he wants to know what type of man to be in order to get his victim. He's a shapeshifter. So that's why, like, in the beginning phases, I don't answer those type of questions. I don't answer, like, what type of man are you looking for? Because I want someone to be authentic. I don't want them to say, oh, you know, that sounds like me, or da-da-da-da, or change their characteristics in any way, shape, or form to match what I'm looking for. And then as we get farther and farther in the poem, the girl goes on to talk about, like, he and like how he made her feel like Mr. Right, except for when she agreeing with what he was saying, right, which is a very, very, very important part of the series that people really don't seem to understand, and which I really want people to grasp. Like, if everything is going right in the relationship, it's you do something that that person didn't agree with, then they completely turn into this different person, this monster per se, then I feel like that's a red flag. And that's a red flag that people miss, because people put it under, oh, we're going to have disagreements. And a disagreement in a relationship, especially in the early parts of a relationship, that's fine. That's understandable. But if we have a disagreement about a small little thing, and then it turns into you disrespecting me, you calling me out my name, then donezo. And if you had a chance to view the video, you've seen that the disagreements were about not answering the text message right away. No, we adults, and even we adults who have lives. So it's been plenty of times where I got a text message and I'm not answering it to 2 to 3 hours later because I just get caught up. I get busy. That's not really a grounds for an argument right there. That's not a ground for a disagreement. And then the other thing was, like, hanging up, like, when the guy felt as though the female hung up the phone too soon and, like, wasn't really giving them enough conversation. So that was angry. That was one of the other reasons why he got angry. And I feel as though, like, it could be multiple reasons. Like I said, that person could have just been busy that day, but to blow up because you felt as though I'm getting off the phone too soon, that's another red flag, which was another red flag for me. And then the thing that I really, really hate about the attire, and I feel like I feel like it's kind of hypocritical, because I feel like a guy knows the way that a certain female dress before they even get with her, and that's what attracts you to that person. So for that to then turn and be used as a vice in an argument, I feel like that's really dumb as hell. Like, you knew that I love to wear, I wear dresses before I got with you. You knew that you knew the shape that I had before I got with you. So for you to then get mad for me wearing the very same clothes that I wore in our dating process, like, that's stupid. And that's a red flag. And I know, like, some males will be like, well, if you my girl, I don't want you showing off too much, da 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 da. But at the same time, I feel like you have to let that person still be a person. Like, if you're in a relationship and that person is trying to change every little thing about you, then that's a red flag that that's not the person that you want to be with. And I know, like, a lot of females sometimes let stuff slide over the thing of, like, well, at least I have someone. Like, but what is a person that's in your bed just taking up a warm body if you're not truly happy, right? And I feel like the little signs always lead up to something bigger. Like, people say that if you let stuff slide when you're dating, when you have marriage, it's just gonna blow up in your face, or it's gonna become a bigger issue. I don't know, I'm not married, but that's what I heard people say. Right? So I feel as though these little signs always turn into something bigger, because at the end of the day, we let people know how they're going to treat us. We let people know what they can do and what they cannot do, and by boundaries, right? And if we set these boundaries in the beginning, then we wouldn't have to worry about them later on in the relationship. And people may say, well, that's doing too much. You have to pick your battles. But at the same time, you're either going to have the battle today, or it's going to turn into something explosive. And people like, oh, getting mad because someone texts you, didn't text you. That's not problematic, but that could be a sign that person is controlling. Even after you explained the situation, because this was the situation with my ex. Like, he knew that I was in CCP at the time, and for some reason I took Spanish, and I scheduled a 3-hour Spanish class that was a night class, and he knew my schedule. He was fully aware that from these 3 hours, I was going to be in class, and I wasn't going to have easy access to my phone, because I was actually a great student. Like, I was one of those students, like, if I'm in class, especially Spanish class, because I struggle with Spanish so much that, like, I literally needed to pay attention. So it was one particular night, right? And granted, this was the time I was working and then going to school, so my time was, like, really stretched thin. So I go to class or whatever. He calls me, so I shoot him a text. Hey, I'm in class. I'm going to call you when we go on our break. He keeps calling me. He keeps calling me. It's like to the point where I had like 10 missed calls from him. I'm like, yo, what is going on? Then here comes the upside text message accusing me of cheating. Accusing me of cheating, calling me all type of hoes, like hoes, slut. And I'm just looking like, are you serious, dude? Like, I'm in class. So that was like one nice that I should have like took in mind, he has some controlling, some issues with control. He has issues with my boundaries, because if I already set the precedent that like I'm in class between this time and that time, like you can reach out to me, but don't expect me to answer because I'm in class and my education comes first. And he knew that like I had goals that I was trying to achieve, and that's why I get someone who understands your goals. Because if you're with someone who don't have the same mindset as you, who don't really understand where you're trying to go in life, when you have to do certain things, they feel as though you're neglecting them. Like right now, because I'm a poet, right? I set certain out of my day to write, and I set certain time out of my day to practice. So I can't be with someone who wants to constantly be up under me, who's constantly wants to talk to me when I tell them, listen, I'm writing. Like when I'm writing, I'm writing. When I'm writing, my phone goes on do not disturb. I don't even have my phone in my hand because that's my time. Like this is my art. I take it very seriously. I perfect my craft, and who doesn't respect it? So that should have been a sign for me. But of course, I was just like, listen, all of my friends was in a relationship at the time. I had this thing that I wanted to be married by the time I was 25. So this happened, I was like 19. So I'm like, okay, I need to be on track. I had my whole life planned out. I'm like, when I'm 19, I need to like be in a relationship that's headed towards something serious. So by the time I'm 25, I can be walking down the aisle. But here we are, me, 27, and I'm single. And I'm actually like, for the first time in a while, just content with actually being single and not like bitter. And most of my friends are in a relationship. I'm the only one out of my siblings right now that's not in a relationship. And I'm happy because I'm content and I'm working on myself and I'm healing, and I know that like the next time I get into something, I'm going to be ready, because and I feel like that's the problem too, is people jump out of relationships and get right back into relationships before they fully heal from the first relationship. So here you are, you're taking all this extra baggage into the next relationship that's not even giving that relationship a fighting chance because you're still damaged for the first one. And I used to do that all the time because I used to think that like I have to have someone. Content is like a beautiful thing. And I feel like over the past 2 years was when I really became content with being single, because it's like people look at being single as like a bad thing, but it's actually a time for you to heal from stuff from the past. It's actually a time for you to find yourself and to reassess your life. Like, I feel like society puts so much pressure on us, so much unnecessary pressure, and you really have people just clinging to people for the sake of having someone, like just for the sake of someone being there. Like you're not even really happy, and that's why I stayed with my ex so long, because it was just like, listen, like at least this is somebody. Like I don't want to go through the whole process of getting to know someone. And that was toxic. He was toxic for me, I was toxic for him. We both knew that we had absolutely no business with being with each other, but yet we stayed with each other, making each other miserable. And don't get me wrong, like, you have good days, you have bad days. Like an abuser isn't an abuser 24/7, because if an abuser was an abuser on a first date, then he wouldn't get a second date. Like and a day, and then it's like the same with me. Like on the first day, I'm not about to tell people I'm not about to pull you out a list of all my flaws, right? And then I probably wouldn't get a second date either. But yeah, I feel like there is little signs, and that was just the point of this first one. There's little signs that in the beginning, in the dating phase, that we miss because we're like, either we don't want to see them. And the first sign from this first part was him being a shapeshifter. Literally everything that I say I want, that's what he morphed into. And then I'm like just gullible, thinking like, God, thank you for sending me Mr. Right. Thank you for sending me the man that's supposed to be in my life. But at the whole time, the whole time, he was just playing me. He wasn't Mr. Right. He was portraying to be Mr. Right, because I was telling him exactly what I wanted in Mr. Right. So if you give me a script and I'm a person who plays my role, of course I'm going to know how to play. Of course I'm going to do everything that you said, because you just told me what you wanted. So I made it very easy to play you. And then that's another thing. Like I feel like females get so caught up on having Mr. Right, having like the perfect relationship, making sure that all of these guys check every box on the list, and then when he asks us what we want, what you want in a man, we give him our whole list. We give him a whole list. We give them the formula to play with us, basically, because you're giving them the list of everything you want in a man. And then, of course, like, it's only going to take so long. People can only put on an act for so long. And then when they're true out, we like, dang, like, you wasn't really what you said you was in the beginning. When they were just trying to fit the role for whatever purpose that they wanted to use you for. Okay. So that's what Love Doesn't Have to Hurt part 1 was about. Part 2, we're going to get a little deeper. I don't want to give too much away. We're going to get a little deeper on how the warning signs of being controlling, always wanting to know where you are, want to control how you dress, how that morphed into something deeper. So I hope you guys checked out part 1 of the video. Part 2 will be dropping on Saturday. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys learned from the video, and I hope it's something that you guys would actually use. And thank you guys for joining in with me and Mission. I saw you join in. Thank you for always supporting me. Nettie, I love you. Sis Lily, I love you. You should be texting me, and you know what it's about. But yeah, I love you guys. Thank you, and tune in on Saturday at 6 p.m. where part 2, Words Hurt 2, will be dropping. Thank you.